This should be played at high volume.
Welcome to Outta Pocket. Here's your host, Michael Davis.
The wait is over. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of NASCAR. Is now live in North Carolina. Now you can legally bet on all your favorite sports anytime, anywhere, right here in North Carolina with DraftKings. For a limited time, new customers who sign up with promo code Tobacco Road and bet $5 will receive $250 instantly in bonus bets. DraftKings has the best features, including same-game parlays, player props, and more with fast and easy payouts right at your fingertips. With this Sunday's race, you can wager on who you think wins, who places top 3, who places top 5, however you're feeling. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now using code Tobacco Road and bet $5 to get $250 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code Tobacco Road. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Deposit and eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook/NC. NASCAR is not sponsored this promotion. Used under license. Welcome to Out of Pocket with Michael Davis. As part of your TGI Friday lineup, we have a great slate in store for you today on Tobacco Road. We'll have the All Hornets podcast immediately following Out of Pocket today. But now we're joined by Brendan O'Neill, who was on Out of Pocket's return a few weeks ago on that Monday with R.L. Bynum from the Tar Heel Tribune. We have Peyton Burton from Everything College Basketball. His brother is also on Franchise Players this week with Desmond Johnson, also available on Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. And then, of course, we have our producer joining us every day, 4 days a week, Desmond Johnson. He keeps running around. I don't know how he keeps up with it all, but I'm going to share my condolences to Des after last night. There were a lot of upsets in March Madness, including the North Carolina Tar Heels losing in the Sweet 16 to the Alabama Crimson Tide as a 4 seed. And so we've covered a lot of ACC basketball the last few weeks since Out of Pocket returned. We returned after the UNC Duke game a few weeks ago in Cameron. So I wanted to pose this to Des first, because I know you're one who like sits back for a little bit, collects your thoughts. Have you collected your thoughts about what happened last night and the Tar Heels season concluding?
Yeah, great season. I mean, I'm just a fan, so it's it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's college basketball. There's only going to be one team that's going to end the season with a win. So I mean, when you get to this point, when you get to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, every team is good at this point. So Alabama was probably the only team I can think of that Carolina came across this year that could get down the court as fast as Carolina after a made bucket. And that was kind of the story. There was some stretches during that game where Carolina would score, and then 2 dribbles later, Alabama scoring on the other end, and then Carolina scoring on the other, like boom, 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 like just back and forth, back and forth. And you can't win that kind of game without RJ Davis. I feel really bad for RJ Davis this morning when I woke up because he hadn't really had a bad game all year. And for him to have a poor shooting night in the Sweet 16 and just knowing coming from the media world how the media was going to attack this, that they were going to go at it like it was RJ that lost this game when that's not what happened. I felt more bad for him, for Armando, who's been here 5 years. Like Armando got here in 2019, like before COVID. Like the whole world has changed since he started college, college basketball has changed since he started college. So this group kind of reminded me, not kind of, they did. This group reminded me of why I am a Carolina fan. The togetherness that this unit has, and they'll have this for the rest of their lives. And I wish they could have went to at least to the Final Four. But there was a clip from last night I wanted to start off with that really caught my eye. It was in the post game. It's Armando, RJ Davis, and Cormac Ryan talking, and they're basically the reporters are basically kind of going at RJ as if he's the one that his shooting is what cost them the game, and Cormac steps in on his behalf, and I wanted to play it for you guys because I think it sums up what the vibe of this team was all year.
And what goes through your mind when you look down at the stat sheet and the shooting struggles tonight?
I mean, I just wasn't good enough today. Missed a lot of easy shots that I normally make, and um,
I mean, I gotta chime in here. Just you guys can write whatever you want, about tonight's game. You could talk about RJ, you could talk about the stats, you could talk about whatever, but we would not be in this position today without RJ Davis and Armando Bacot. Carolina wouldn't be in this position today without these two guys. And so, say what you want. There's just not a true fiber in your being that could actually believe that anything that happened tonight could be the result of something RJ did wrong, because RJ's done something incredible for this team. He's done stuff that's never been done before. He's one of the greatest Tar Heels of all time. And for anybody to come and say anything negative about RJ is unacceptable. And I'm going to just say that.
And to me, that just sums up the togetherness that this team had, sticking up for one another and everything else. So if anything, I'm kind of upset that it's over as quickly as it was, because I felt like they could have got further, especially with Clemson waiting on them on Saturday. That was like barbecue chicken for Carolina, but it is what it is. It's March Madness for a reason. So
it is March Madness. You never know what will happen. Brendan, this was the same UNC team that swept our Duke Blue Devils a few weeks ago. Were you shocked by their exit?
When you look at it, not really, just because I think Alabama was like their kryptonite just matchup wise, because they have a guard like Marcus Spears who can really push the ball down the court. Grant Nelson's kind of a unicorn. He hasn't been playing all that well, but last night in the second half, I mean, he really, came to it and found himself, 6 for 9, 2 for 2 from 3, and then 10 for 13 from the line too. Like, that's huge for Grant Nelson.
He was like Larry Bird's illegitimate son or something last night. Like, he literally came. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, Grant Nelson was great, but I think it was really poor matchup wise for Carolina, and that's kind of what you get later down in the tournament. Like, once you get out of the first weekend, you're kind of like, all right, like, we just have to play our brand. Whoever can play their brand of basketball better is what's going to happen. It's who's going to win, because you don't have time. Like, you only have a couple of days to kind of scout your matchup and game plan for your matchup. And I think Alabama just kind of, outran them in the second half, and that's how they won.
And to be fair, people in the ACC, SEC kind of rivalry, that SEC fan, I think SEC fans are the worst. Like, I'd prefer to listen to UNC fans over SEC fans. So, like, all the SEC fans who are like, oh, this proves that the SEC is the better basketball conference, just stop. Like, ACC has been the pinnacle. We had only 4 teams in the tournament this year, but all 4 of them made it to the Sweet 16, which is pretty incredible.
They had 5.
Yeah, Virginia was in there.
They're easy to forget.
They shouldn't have been, but they were in there.
Yeah.
I don't count the round of 68, because I don't think that round of 68 should exist. They should go back to 64, but that's a whole rant for another time. Peyton, I know you watched this game, and especially when Des played that video about, the legacy of this Tar Heel team, especially when you look at RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, Hubert Davis even. Like, what is your takeaways from what happened last night?
First of all, big shout out to Cole McLean for taking up for his teammate. I appreciate that. That's what true leaders do. They take out for your teammates. And as far as people like in the media, I've been in the media for about 6 years now doing this Everything College basketball deal with me and my brother Josh. People in the media like that who ask questions like that right after the game just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, he had probably the worst game maybe of his career, definitely all season long. He's clearly emotional, so why in the world are you asking him about this performance? Just move on, ask him about the team. Don't ask him about that. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. But as far as this game goes, RJ Davis definitely did not play well. He had 16 points, 4 of 20 from the field. He had 3 turnovers. We had multiple turnovers in this game. Did not play well. 0 of 9 from the three-point line, but he is not the sole reason why Alabama won this game. First of all, let's give credit to Rylan Griffin from Alabama. He scored 19 points in this game, but he did an incredible job of shutting RJ Davis down and making it really difficult for him to score, specifically in that second half during those late 4-minute stretches there. And at the end of the game, he did a hell of a job guarding him. So big shout out to Rylan Griffin. Not only did he score the ball well, but he also defended RJ Davis, one of the best guards in the country all season long. So hell of a job out of Rylan Griffin. We talked about it 2 weeks ago when I was on the show, when Carson made this point and Michael brought this up. When you're playing against like a team like Duke, it always seems like the opposing team, whether it's a player or just a team, just play out of their minds. That's what happens to every single blue blood in the country. It happened to Kansas with Gonzaga. Gonzaga shot their lights out from 3 against Kansas. Oakland did the same thing against Kentucky. When you're facing a blue blood program, you'll have one of these players who are coming into this game who don't do really anything at all, just come out and have the lifetime performance. And that's what Grant Nelson did coming into this game. He had a total of 6 points in his first 2 round games. He had 24 in this game, 12 rebounds, 5 blocks, had a big block late on in the game against RJ Davis. He played great. So stop putting the blame on RJ Davis and let's just talk facts here. Grant Nelson played out of his mind, and Rylan Griffin did a really good job at defending RJ Davis.
I just want to put in here as a Carolina fan, I don't think the Carolina fans are necessarily blaming RJ. To Peyton's point, it feels like the media was trying to find a scapegoat. Yeah, and they're trying to put it on RJ, and the Carolina players won't allow it to happen. And that's what I love the most about the outcome of this game was that I feel like the Carolina program is in great hands. This talk about Hubert being out coached last night, it's nonsense. They lost by 2 points, and their best player went 0 for 9 from 3. Like, I mean, what is Hubert supposed to do? Go out there and put on a uniform and go shoot for him? Like, I mean, players have bad games, and you never know when it's going to be. But Carolina's going to be all right. Jalen Washington will be back. Seth Trimble took a huge leap this year. He'll be back. Elliot Cadeau will be back. They've got a top 10 recruiting class coming in, a 3-man class. Cadeau was in it last year and then classified up when it was the number 1 ranked class in the year. I think they're number 7 or something right now, last I checked. RJ's gone, Armando's gone, Cormac's gone. I think Harrison Ingram's a junior, so he may be back next year. And whatever Hubert does in the portal, because Hubert's shown he's one of the best coaches in America when it comes to finding talent in the portal. Brady Manick and now Harrison Ingram and Cormac Ryan. So I feel great going forward about the Carolina program and Hubert being able to continue to build his teams in his fashion the way he wants them built, as opposed to coaching Roy Williams players, which he's just now finally getting out of. So if you're a Carolina fan, it's nothing to hold your head down for today. Duke and State play tonight. That's why none of them have been saying anything today. I've been looking around. None of the Duke fans are saying nothing because they got Houston. The State fans have been kind of leaving us alone anyway. So we'll just see what happens on Friday.
That Duke and Houston game will be tough. It'll be
maybe
hard. It'll be a tough game. There's no doubt about it.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Now, Brendan, I did want to ask you about this because, you and I are Duke fans. We've seen Duke players leave after a year, leave after 2 years. We haven't seen many seniors like Jeremy Roach stay on the team. I think RJ Davis has another year of eligibility. And after a game like this, do you think he goes pro or do you think he comes back for a redemption year?
I think it would be ridiculous if he didn't at least go test the waters draft-wise, because, I mean, you really the trend with college basketball guards that I think happens is they have a really great season and they come back and people kind of figure them out. So it's not like a Zach Edey where he's quite literally an unstoppable force, but people are going to learn how, be able to watch RJ and be like, all right, this is how we guard him. Like, this is, maybe look at what Alabama did how they forced him the bad shots. I know he missed some open shots, but I mean, Alabama defended him relatively well. And so I think it would be, asinine if RJ Davis didn't at least go test the waters. I'd expect Harrison Ingram to also, just because I've seen him on some boards like late second round, but I mean, that's not guaranteed money. So I wouldn't be surprised if they maintain their eligibility while go test the draft waters. And if they both come back, I wouldn't be surprised if they both go. I wouldn't be surprised either way. So, but Hubert is going to have some recruiting set out to do, whether it's recruiting RJ and Harrison back or recruiting new guys in.
I think RJ's gone. I don't think he doesn't have a reason to come back. He can't really top this year. ACC Player of the Year, first team All-American. He's already going up in the rafters at Carolina. There's no reason to come back, really. Top 7 in scoring in Carolina history. And I think he's played himself into the bottom of the first, maybe early second round pick. Armando's exhausted his eligibility. I felt bad for him because if this was 15 years ago, Armando was a top 15 draft pick, probably, and it's crazy when you look at the NBA now, it's shifting back from the Golden State era where it's like small ball and there's no positions or whatever. Look at the teams that are at the top of the standings, like Minnesota. What do they have? They have 2 twin towers down in the paint and a fantastic top 5 guard. Maybe it's shifting back around. There's stuff in Baycott's game that can be used at the pro level. It's just a matter if he lands with the right team. I could see Charlotte or somebody taking a flyer on him in the second round or something like that, or he goes overseas to Europe or whatever he does. But with Harrison, he can make more money in NIL staying at Carolina for senior year than he would being a late round, second round pick, so playing for the Swarm or whatever. So I'm pretty sure when Ingram got recruited through the portal, it was the idea he was going to be there for 2 years. So there's a base that's still there. RJ and Armando will be gone, and Cormac will be gone, but there's a base still there. Carolina fans just, it's okay. It's okay. Relax. It's just a Sweet 16 loss. It's fine.
And I think basketball fans kind of got robbed because not only did UNC lose last night, Arizona lost as well. We were talking about this on the show a couple weeks ago when the bracket was about to be released. Like, hey, we could see Arizona versus UNC. We could see Caleb Love versus RJ Davis, and we never got that. What we will get is tonight we have NC State playing number 2 seed Marquette. NC State, I believe at the 11 seed is like the lowest seed remaining in this tournament. They got hot during the ACC, won 5 games in 5 days. I'm also seeing some comments pour in on our YouTube. John, shout out to you. Josh Burton, Derek Polly, Richard Roddy's a big State fan. So when we look at this State game, DJ Burns has been incredible. Probably should, get in better shape. You could compare him to Zion Williamson in that case, but State might have a legitimate chance of upsetting Marquette tonight. Brendan, do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I think when you look at NC State's bracket, the 2 teams that they've beat in their national championship games when they won in 74-93 are Marquette and Houston. So I think, it's kind of hard to stop destiny. So I wouldn't be surprised if, NC State squeaks one out tonight. And then, I think Houston's going to beat Duke, but I think a 83 rematch with NC State and Houston is what we're going to get, what the script has. And we've got Clemson, Alabama in on the other side, or in the spring now instead of the fall with the college football playoff. And I think the script is going to have some NC State against Marquette. They're going to beat them like they did in 74. And I think Houston versus NC State, the 83 rematch is what we're going to get in the Elite Eight for the Final Four.
Now, when people, start trashing wrestling because it's scripted, come on, just look at your sports. You had the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You could have State on this run against Marquette and against Houston. So just FYI, if Duke loses tonight, it's because of the script. Peyton, you've watched a lot of basketball. You've seen a lot of dominant players. DJ Burns looks like a dominant player here these last few weeks. Do you think that's enough to upset the 2 seed Marquette tonight?
He's not looking like a dominant player. He is a dominant player. You mentioned wrestling. I'm glad. I'm gonna make this little statement here. To all my wrestling fans out there, I grew up being a wrestling fan. Anytime that DJ Burns catches the ball in the paint, he is the biggest baby face in the country. Like, he gets the biggest pop. It's like Stone Cold in the Attitude Era. Like, every time his music hits, every time he gets the ball in the paint, the crowd just erupts. I've seen it all season long, especially in the tournament. He is the biggest #1 tournament darling. He is dominant. Nobody in the country is stopping him from getting what he wants. You compare him to Zion Williamson, I get it because he's big. Definitely not as athletic as Zion was. I definitely compare him more to like a Glenn Baby Davis over a Zion. Both of these guys are refrigerators with wheels on. He's big, he's strong, but he can move. He's agile. Huge fan of DJ Burns. It's very exciting to see how well he's playing this year, specifically in this tournament. He's been a hell of a player to watch. As far as this game goes, I am going to disagree with Brennan. They got to get through Marquette first, and that's something that it's not going to be easy to do. I love momentum in sports. Momentum is one of the most underrated things you could talk about in sports, but the momentum is getting broke off in this game because Marquette's offensive paralysis, the way they run their sets, there's so much spacing on the floor. They run an NBA modern offense. They create so many driving lanes for guys like Tyler Koik, who's one of the number one best point guard in the country, and God forbid if guys like Cam Jones is hitting three-point shots. It's going to be really tough to guard them for 40 minutes. I like Marquette. I like their defense. I like their offense. And I mentioned Tyler Kolik's the best player in the country. If DJ Burns is going to get what he wants. It's really going to come down to if DJ Horn or either one of NC State's guards has to match what Marquette's doing. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Marquette wins this one.
Des, you've been outspoken about Zion and the weight he's gained in the NBA. I feel like if Burns shaves some of that weight, the way he moves in the paint and his footwork, like he could have a successful NBA career. Do you see things the same way in that regard?
No, because Burns doesn't really have a jumper. And in today's NBA, you kind of need a jump shot. That's why Baycott's in a similar situation where just being a post player, I don't know if a team is going to take a flyer on that. In particular, you got to do something else. Even the Minnesota comparison I had earlier, Rudy Gobert is like the number one defensive player in the league, or one of. So, I mean, you've got that there. Karl Anthony Towns is a top 20 player. So, I mean, Burns, I wouldn't compare him to Zion because Zion, even with the weight, still able to jump 11 feet in the air. Like he's more of a freak athlete than anything else. I wouldn't call Burns a freak athlete. Great college player. He's great. And it's okay. It's okay to be a great college player. Great college players doesn't necessarily translate into great NBA players. Hell, look at Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner, one of the greatest college basketball players of all time, but it didn't translate out into a great NBA player, and that's okay. So I don't know. I did see something I thought was pretty cool. The year Zion was a senior in South Carolina, the South Carolina player rankings in high school, number 1 was Zion Williamson, number 2 was Ja Morant, and number 3 was DJ Burns. So it gives you an idea of talent level where he is and where he stands in terms of where he was looked at coming out of high school. And then eventually found his way to NC State. I think I'm supposed to predict this later on, so I'll save it. But yeah, I'm kind of with Peyton on tonight's game.
And another game that we have tonight is Duke, number 4 seed against number 1 seed Houston. We saw Bama as a 4 seed beat UNC as a 1 seed last night. Some people didn't expect Duke to make it this far. Brendan, were you one of those people? Because the other two are on this panel right now. And do you see there being a chance that they actually do get past Houston?
I think there's a legit shot, but I also think just with the defensive intensity that Houston provides, if Duke, if they don't make free throws, they're toast tonight because Houston fouls a lot. So if Filipowski, he's not a great free throw shooter, shoots like 67%, I think. But he can make him. He's hot and cold today. It's not like a consistent 66% shooter. Like sometimes he'll go over 4, sometimes he'll go like 6 for 6 from the line. But so I think free throws is number 1 for Duke tonight. But then it's going to be hard for anyone to get by Jamal Shead. Man, he is so great on defense. He's a dog. And so I think they're going to have to. Jared McKinnon's going to have to hit shots. He's going to have to be close to what he did against JMU. They're going to have to get lots of 3-pointers falling. Proctor's going to have to show up. Whoever isn't being guarded by Jamal Shead is going to play really well, whether that's Roach or Proctor. Kyle's going to have to stay out of foul trouble. And, Ryan Young and Sean Stewart and TJ are going to have to provide some minutes off the bench if they do get in foul trouble. So I think Sean Stewart and Ryan Young, this might be a physical, strong man kind of game. So I think those two could play a couple minutes and play well.
Des.
But,
Everything Brendan just said, I don't know if Duke can do. That's been kind of the whole point, right? We've been saying Duke's been a soft team all year, and the stuff he's saying they need to do to beat Houston, we haven't seen them do that the entire year because they can't do it. So I don't know. Honestly, I feel like at the end of tonight, Clemson's going to be the lone representative of the ACC still standing. I just can't picture this Duke team from what I've watched them in tough head-to-head, get punched in the mouth type battles. They've kind of crumbled each time. Houston has been at number 1 or near number 1 in the AP poll all year for a reason. I know they've had a couple stumbles here at the very end of the year, but now they're in the tournament. I just can't see them falling to this particular Duke team. And same thing with State and Marquette. I think the road ends right here because Marquette's really the best team State's seen since Carolina and ACC tournament. So I don't know. Duke got here by beating 2 double-digit seeds, so I think it's inflated the whole thing in terms of them being better than they are, or whatever it might be. That James Madison team was just dead to rights by the time they saw him. I don't know. This is going to be the first true test Duke has, and it's probably the second best team in the entire country. Do I think Duke can beat the second best team in the entire country on a neutral court? No, I do not.
So I want to chime in real quick because I did mention 2 weeks ago that this team is soft and I don't trust their guards and all this blah, blah, blah stuff. They're not making it out the first weekend, which I'll apologize. They did, but like Des just mentioned, they beat 2 double seeds teams to get there. So congratulations, whatever you made to the Sweet 16. Not really happy for y'all because I'm not a Duke fan, but it is what it is. On to this game, though. Can Duke win? Yes, because they got more talent than anybody on this Houston roster. They got the best talent. But in this tournament, it's shown this year and it's shown for the last 5-6 years, talent doesn't always win when it matters in March. Houston is the toughest team in the country. They're the most physical team in the country. They got the second best point guard in the country in Jamal Shed, who is going to lock up Jaron McCain in this game. Kyle Filipowski has to stay out of foul trouble, which I'm not sure he's going to be capable of doing. They got to get out in transition. They got to be able to score easy ones because the best way to beat Houston's defense is to not let the half-court defense get set up. So in order to do that, you got to push the ball in transition. You got to get out. You got to execute an offense, and you got to take care of the ball. Anytime they try to run any ball screens, Houston's going to blitz them like no other team does in the country. I think this game's going to get ugly. I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry, Brennan. I know you both are Duke fans. I'm sorry, Carson, if you listen to this. I know you're a Duke fan. Sorry to all the Dukies, but Houston is one of the best teams in the country. Duke's soft. I think this game's going to get ugly very quickly.
Can I say this real quick, too, to the state fans that are out there? Don't get too cocky. Don't get too cocky. You were in the Sweet 16, but remember, you had all those the logo sweaters and T-shirts and all that stuff. You had them in the back of your closet because I have not seen as much NC State gear I've seen the past week. I have not seen it in the past 15. Don't get cocky, because this is not an easy game for NC State. Don't talk to the Carolina fans right now. You have a game tonight. You know what I mean? Like, don't talk to us. We've been trying to leave y'all alone. We've been giving y'all props. So, again, don't get cocky, NC State fans. You still have work to do. I know it's been 30 years since you've been in this situation, but relax. Get your work done. Then talk about everybody else, because there's a few of you that's going to mess it up for everybody because the Carolina fans are sitting back waiting to see who are we going to go after when all this is said and done. And if it ends up being State, so be it. But I'm just saying, don't get cocky, State fans. Focus on Marquette. Don't worry about Carolina. Don't worry about what you did against Carolina 3 weeks ago. Focus on Marquette.
And either way, like Duke and NC State have 2 incredibly tough matchups tonight. Are they capable? Yes. Especially for Duke, I think the key contributor is McCain's got to get hot. He's got to have a night just like James Madison, where James Madison was a good team. They were up in the top 25 polls for a good part of the year. And Duke, Filipowski needs to stay out of foul trouble so that we can actually have your best players on the court in a Sweet 16 game. Because if Filipowski gets in foul trouble, like Derek Lively went to the NBA last year, there's no rim protection. And that's just the one weakness of this Duke team.
Duke needs Jared McCain to show up again like he did against James Madison for them to have a shot, too. You can't have a 15-point game from Jared McCain and beat Houston. Like, he's going to have to be last week's Jared McCain again, to be honest. Like, this is a tall task. This is not an easy thing for Duke here. They've got the talent, but they're freshmen and sophomores. Like, 24-year-olds playing for Houston. I mean, this is going to be a hard game.
And now
Jeremy Roach we trust.
Jeremy Roach.
Hell yeah, I trust in Jeremy Roach.
All right.
March Jeremy Roach.
Hey, you need your seniors to step up in these games too, like the people who have been there before. And that's why I have a little more confidence than Des does or Peyton does in Duke, is because they've actually been there. It's not a team full of freshmen like we've seen in the past. Like Filipowski was here last year. Mitchell was here last year. Roach, Proctor, these guys were here last year. They just got to put it together with leadership. But we'll see how it goes tonight. If you remember yesterday's episode, we ended with that aged well. There's 4 March Madness games. We had each one pick who was winning. So in 30 seconds or less, we're going to run through these games. Brendan, You're the Duke guy. I'll let you get the Duke Houston game. An official prediction on who wins.
Because I want Duke to win, I think it's a really tall task with Blue Devils. So I'm going to give it to Houston, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. But I mean, right now, give me Houston. They're hot. Clem Sampson is out, something to prove. Trying to go win a national title. People have been ragging him for a long time. And I think, defense is going to stand tall. I don't think Duke's offense is capable enough to beat up on Houston's defense. So give me the Cougars.
Hey, Brennan's picking Houston with his mind, but he's getting Duke with his heart. Peyton, your game for tonight is Creighton versus Tennessee.
I'm very pumped for this game. I think this game's going to be very entertaining. One of the most entertaining games to watch, probably in this Friday night slate of games. Creighton and Tennessee, both of these teams are capable of playing up-tempo. That's more of Creighton's style of game. Tennessee, although they can play up-tempo, they would like to slow it down. They can win a multitude of different ways. Tennessee has to chase Creighton off the three-point line. Almost 40% of Creighton's points come from the three-point line. Creighton has to attack Santiago Vescovi. Any chance they get, Vescovi is one of Tennessee's weakest on-ball defenders. You attack him instead of a guy like Zakai Ziegler, you have a better chance of winning this game. Tennessee wins this game in a close one. Vols are just too athletic. Dalton Connect is the best player in the country. Zakai Ziegler does his best to shut down Stephen Ashworth, and I don't trust Trey Alexander in this game. I think Tennessee wins this game in a close one. Should be entertaining, though. I'm excited for it.
And Des, you've been hinting at all episode. Your game tonight, NC State versus Marquette. Who wins?
Yeah, it's sad. I'm planning my Friday night around an NC State game and a Duke game. That's where I am here in March. I think it ends here for NC State. I've seen a lot of people talk about momentum and all that kind of thing. I think you can carry momentum from the start of a weekend to the end of the weekend. I don't know if you can carry it through a whole week where you haven't played. Again, NC State, they've been touched by the hand of Jim Valvano apparently to get to this point. They've won 7 straight games, but they lost 3 or 4 before all that began. And I'm a firm believer in things coming back to the mean eventually. I think Marquette's going to get Burns and Middlebrooks in foul trouble. That seems to be the trick to beat this NC State team. And that's just from keeping the floor spaced and guys just driving to the bucket and challenging them. If they can get Burns in foul trouble early and get Middlebrooks in foul trouble, then State will have to start to scramble. And if that's the case, I can see Marquette moving on. Honestly, guys, I think we're barreling towards a Houston versus UConn national championship, which is probably the way it should be because they've been the best 2 teams all year. And who knows, we might see UConn versus Clemson in the Final Four.
At this rate, that might be the route, but it's March Madness. Anything can happen. We've had some State fans, particularly Richard, commenting on the YouTube. John said the NC State sweatshirt was in his trash the whole time. So,
I mean, these State fans, they're acting like they've been out here all this time. They have not. I've seen so much NC State gear the past week. Y'all might have had it, but you weren't wearing it. You guys wanted Kevin Keats fired 3 weeks ago. You were.
Brendan brings out the NC State pullover right there.
I didn't miss a game this year. Didn't miss a home game. So I've been supporting the whole way.
Good luck to them all. We're not like the SEC where it's it just matters more and we just root SEC no matter who it is. And really it's just Alabama. And we don't do that in the ACC. We still have rivalries that we hate.
Down on them.
If Duke and State move on, great for them. But if they don't, we got room on the couch for you.
And it's interesting. Tomorrow night, we'll actually have Clemson versus Alabama and not a football game. We'll have it in a basketball game in the Elite Eight. That's crazy to think about. I didn't have that in my bracket. My game for tonight is Gonzaga versus Purdue. What I did have in my bracket was Purdue win the whole thing. So I'm going to stick with Zach Edey and with the Boilermakers to win. Guys, this is your TGI Friday lineup. We have a huge thing in store. Josh Burton just commented on the YouTube channel. He and Peyton are doing phenomenal work with everything college basketball. You guys have blown up. You guys are having thousands of followers listening to your live streams, which is absolutely phenomenal, absolutely incredible. As I mentioned earlier, Josh was on Franchise Players this week with Dez. So that was a good episode.
I was just going to say the TGI Friday lineup, we run terrestrial radio stuff Fridays and Saturdays on Tobacco Road. As soon as this goes off the air, the All Hornets Sports Illustrated podcast is up. It'll start airing right as soon as we go off here at 2:00. Believe in Carolina Panthers, the episode from this week discussing the hip tackle rule from the NFL and the new kickoff rules with myself, Jonathan Stewart, and Skylar Callahan from Sports Illustrated. Where they now tried our All-Stars is at 3:00 with Ryan Smith. He interviews Josh Nolan, the former defensive tackle from Glenn High School, and Alex Smith, the former wide receiver at Grimsley High School, who's now at North Carolina, who enrolled early. And then the Keep Pounding podcast networks at looks like 3:40. That's the Cat Cave with Michael Davis and Shannon Smith. And Inside the Vault with Ryan Smith. He interviewed Mike Hill from Fox Sports this week. So that's all there. Franchise players with oh my gosh, who's on there? Lauren Brownlow, Dennis Cox from WRAL, Sam Farber from the Hornets Radio Network, and Josh Burton from Everything College Basketball. They're all there. That airs at 5:00 today. So if you haven't got a chance to see it yet, you can hear it on Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Yeah, and if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to any of the Out of Pocket episodes this week, they are all available on demand on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel. We had a really good week. I'm super thankful, by the way, to all of you guys who are spending your lunch breaks with us, seeing all the comments pop up from friends, from family, from people I've never met in person. Is a true honor and blessing. I don't take it lightly. And I appreciate every time you guys share my content, every person who shared my article from last night writing for Fans First Sports Network. I just had a new article drop about 10 minutes ago on the Dallas Cowboys. So if you don't have anything to do for the next 5 minutes, go check that out. Let me know what you think. But yes, this has been your TGI Friday lineup. It's just continuing on Out of Pocket and on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. We'll have Carson and his Carsonites running wild again on Monday to talk about these March Madness games. See who's in the Final Four. We'll know on Monday, and we'll talk about it then. Everybody, this has been Out of Pocket for your week, and everyone have a great weekend.